Welcome back to the Scrum. This week we're going to get a little update on how all of our playoff picks are going. We're going to pick some fantastic moments that have happened so far, and we're going to see what our plan for the weekend's games are. Come on in. Water's warm. We went to our first game in LA this week. Not your first playoff game.
No.
Not our first playoff game. But a young Padawan in our group, Brian's child Maddox, it was his first playoff game as a road fan. And I don't want to say he was confident going in, but he was just like, yeah, the Oilers are good. Like, there's a reason he likes the Oilers and he lives in Orange County, California. Like, they're clearly a great team. Fine. He was pretty I don't think he was expecting the hostile environment.
One of the first things he said was, there's not a lot of Oilers jerseys. Mm-hmm. Because he's used to going to Ducks games against the Oilers.
Yep.
And there's a lot of Oilers jerseys.
Yep.
So,
which I checked in on that with our buddy Jay from Oilers Nation, and he said the Canadians are holding the line on the tariff chat. They hate it. They hate the tariffs. They hate all this stuff that's going on, and so they're genuinely not traveling to America.
They're not trying to give us their Canadian dollars.
Nope. And good for them.
Yeah.
Take a line. I like it.
You know what I mean? You vote with your dollar.
I think you have to
Very
mention, too, who Maddox's favorite player is.
Well, okay, that's
you have to preface it
I
with
mean,
that as well.
That's a
that's
good
the
point.
thing.
Stuart Skinner's a good guy. Maddox loves him.
Obviously, Maddox has never been to Edmonton. I will be taking him shortly, I'm sure. I said next season I'll probably take him to a game, home game.
Ooh.
But when Maddox has been going to Ducks games since he was born. Hammer and I have had season tickets his whole life. So he would go to games with us. I would strap him to the baby Bjorn before I had to have him a ticket, and he would go to games. I mean, he made a comment on the way to the game. He's like, "Oh, it's my first playoff game," and I'm going, "No.
Brother,
You've been to many playoff games."
Yeah.
When the Ducks made a lot of playoff games when you were a kid.
Just as Brian rethinking what a pain it was to strap a child to his chest and bring him, he's like, "This will be really big for him."
Yeah.
And then Maddox like, "Never been to a game," and Brian's like, "What?"
First one he remembers.
It's the first one he remembers because I have photos of him at many playoff games.
Yeah.
I mean, he was there when against Chicago where there's 1,000 overtimes. Mm-hmm. It was the longest game ever, and I was thinking my kid's asleep, So he's been going to games forever. He's been a hockey fan his whole life. Very early, he has an iPad, screen time. He asked for the NHL app one day. We were talking about scores. He's like, "Oh, I want to see," So I put the NHL app on there. On the NHL app, when you first log in, if it gives you there's a highlight thing.
Yeah,
and
the night before.
Yeah, the night before. So he just got used to going and seeing the highlights. First thing in the morning, he'd get up and just check the highlights. If the Oilers played, there was 100% an highlight of McDavid. Almost, you know what I mean? So very early at 5 or whatever, he's just seeing, his true first favorite player was Cam Fowler. And
That's true.
So, and it was, I don't know how it was Cam Fowler. I think because we saw him at the Honda Center one day, and he's like, "Who was that? Cam Fowler? My favorite player."
That's my guy.
Yeah.
He said, "What's up to me?"
Yeah. And then,
we're boys.
Then it was Perry because the announcers kept talking about Perry. Anyways, that's when he was very young. Now, became a McDavid fan. Watch him. He's like, "Dude, McDavid's so sick. Does all these things." And so he's like, "I'm an Oilers fan." He's like, "I'm still a Ducks fan. Ducks are my, their team, but Oilers are my team." So.
And it's really funny thinking of we talk you talk about different perspectives and stuff, and the fact that Maddox's brain had to go through a thing where he was at one point he's like, "I need to go get my dad." I think this Connor guy is going to be something. I'm seeing him do some things in the NHL app. They're pretty good,
Pretty special.
pretty special.
I mean, as a parent, you try to guide your children down a path. They're not always going to walk the path that you show them. They're going to forge their own path.
They're going to forge their own.
And his first forging of his path is liking the Edmonton Oilers.
For sure.
And not his home team.
Yep.
Anyways, we did not allow him to wear his Oilers jersey because we were
provided tickets.
Here's your options. You can stay home and watch the game at home and wear whatever you want and cheer however you want. Or you can come to the game and watch it live and just be respectful to the environment. And he chose that.
Which a little foreshadowing on the way there. We were talking about goal songs and goal horns. And he talked about how he loves LA's because it's super loud.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, okay."
He knows it's loud because he plays NHL. It's the real horn on NHL EA
On the video
Sports,
game.
you know. So the first goal the Kings score, he sits down, and I look at him. I'm sorry, son, but he tears up. He's just like
instant tears.
Shit.
Because he's
wasn't prepared for I felt bad because I didn't realize. I'm like, this is an aggressive environment. Like, this kid's used to, like, you know, even when there's a game, the Oilers are in town and the Oilers score on the Ducks, people are like,
Yeah.
Or like it's just not playoff hostile.
Yeah.
People are screaming and like it's just so intense.
Oh, it's aggressive. Yeah.
And I am an emotional human being.
That's
I'm in tune. So my son, in turn, well, my firstborn is emotional. Miles, not emotional. So he's an emotional kid too, and he's so invested, so tied into the sport of hockey, and it's just like I could see it. He was just. They scored that first goal. It was a dagger. He was like, ugh.
Yeah.
He was like, the Kings are good.
Yeah.
And, I mean, insider Nate over here, I keep telling Maddox, I'm like, dude, the Kings are good. They, you know, kind of telling him all the stats, and he's just like, yeah, but Edmonton's good. I'm like, so anyway, so we're there. We watched, obviously, the Kings score a lot of things. On top of
score a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's
On
not going
top
so well.
of being there.
In summary.
Yeah. And you guys could talk about that. I'm talking about Maddox's perspective. So while we're there, Hammer gets a text from someone who's like, hey, do you want to be a part of an experience? You can go downstairs and see the team walk out at the second intermission. I'm like, heck yeah. And I tell Maddox, I'm like, hey, do you want to go see the team? And at first he's just like, can I see the Oilers? And I'm like, no, you can see the Kings. Do you want to go see the Kings? He's like, all right. So we go down there, and which is an awesome experience that they do. Like, it is. I don't know who thought of that. Have they always done that? Is that a newer thing?
Yeah, they've done it. They've done it for a while,
Okay.
and they. I think during the playoffs they aren't doing it first period. I think they're only doing it at the intermissions because first period I think they do like a different intro maybe or something like that.
Well, obviously I'm a Ducks fan, but just as a hockey fan and being able to experience that, even with, Maddox being an Oilers fan, it was really cool. We both enjoyed it. We got to go down. They come out there. I mean, you could see the size of these guys because on skates and in their gear, they all look the same size when they're on the ice. But when you see them in person, especially for Maddox, and I'm filming, they're fucking huge.
Yeah.
You know, and so Maddox is hyped on that. We see him go by. He's hyped. He's a Trevor Moore fan. So
California
which is
native.
crazy. He didn't even know he was from California. He was just a Trevor Moore fan.
He just liked him.
And then I told him, like, dude, he grew up down the street. He played for the California Bears when he was like 8U. And he's like, his mind was blown because he's played against the California Bears.
Yeah, he sees that possibility.
So we do that, and then they leave, and we're sitting there getting ready to go up. Carl rolls up. Oh, hey, what's up, guys? You know, and like talk to her, and she's like, hey, do you want to watch the start of the next period at my spot? And I'm like, yep. So we go out, and she sits in the corner, and it was where, you know, the Kings were shooting on that side. So it's where the Kings shoot once.
Yeah,
side.
second period.
And so we go there right at the start. Huge like hit in the corner right in front of Maddox, and Maddox kind of he had like take a step back.
He's like on the dash, like on the board.
Almost has his face against the glass.
Yeah,
for sure.
and like they hit it, he kind of steps back and he looks at me, and his eyes are just like, and I'm like, it was perfect. And then obviously Carl knows he's an Oilers fan, and she made a comment. She's like, at least you get to see McDavid up close.
Yeah,
you
she was like, I felt super bad. She was like, hey, you get to watch a McDavid face-off right here, whatever. And then she's like, Kopitar just dominated.
Yeah. So
she's like, hey, you get to watch a McDavid lose a face-off.
and it's like he's enjoying it and appreciate it because he's a very appreciative kid, and he doesn't take anything for granted. But it's just like, if he was a Kings fan, it would be like the best night of his life.
It's just proof that kids are such a pain in the ass. Like these freaking kids, like you're like, hey, do you want one of the Kings TV guys, Nate, whatever. He's like, you know Gene Principe? Yeah. Like, no, I don't know Gene Principe. He's like, You're like, all right, bud, never mind.
To cap it all off, we're leaving, and as we're leaving the game, and we see a bunch of handsome gentlemen in suits walk by, and then Hammer goes, oh, there's Max Jones, and like so we catch up to him, say what's up to Max. We were talking about how insane the game is, and Max goes, man, wasn't that an insane game?
And Max like, that's the craziest playoff game I've ever seen. I'm like, I'm glad to know that we're not just have fan sentiment. Like,
No, I think everyone had that same sentiment about that game.
everyone was like, and the game went the way it did, tied, and then just the crappiest goal as the winner. of just like
depends how you look at it.
I mean, everybody doing what they're supposed to be doing. Awesome.
Yeah,
Great.
He fanned on the shot.
The fact that he like healed it a little bit or whatever, and just ripped the change up. It's like.
But we can break it down. We don't need to break it down right now. There's a lot of things we can break down in that goal, but.
Oh yeah. I mean, the
Kings, for the most part, outplayed the Oilers for about 39 minutes and 50 seconds.
Yeah, that's fair.
Basically.
That's fair.
Right, until the Oilers scored their first goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, the Kings, they look good right now for my pick. I picked them in the West, but we got to move on. We can't keep talking about them, even though I want to.
That's fair.
We're going to move on to Vegas and Minnesota.
Wow. What a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not a surprise to the folks in Minnesota. They stayed up till like 2 a.m. to watch this game or whatever it was. Game 1, classic Vegas game. But game 2, Minnesota came to play.
Yeah, they did.
They were pissed. And I think they didn't like how they were talked about. They didn't like how the game went. And, anything can happen, but it's how you react to it. And they reacted to it.
I think in game 1, Vegas scored first. It was a sick goal. Reminded me of a goal Maddox scored in a tournament. No big deal. But when much the same thing. When Kaprizov, he made that pass to Boldy.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I watched it. I was like, damn, that was fucking sick. And now it's 1-1, and I'm thinking Minnesota. You know what I mean? But then Vegas took over, and Vegas won. But I think what happened is like Kaprizov's just getting warmed up because he's been hurt, he's been out, and now he was warmed up for game 2. So, I mean...
Big time the boys were ready to rock. I think they just fully stunned Vegas.
I think the Minnesota Wild have gotten zero respect in this series. I think I want to say probably every person and their cousin has picked Vegas to win this series.
For sure.
But last game, you're right, I think it was the Kirill Kaprizov and Matt Boldy show. The sauce that Kaprizov gave to Matt Boldy for that goal. We were joking around it before we were recording. We were saying, the way that sauce elevated and came down, I said to him, it was like a butterfly landing with sore feet when it landed right on Boldy's tape. You like that, don't you?
Nice.
But I think that this Minnesota team, they have those guys that kind of, drive the force with them offensively, and then they have a bunch of guys that are dogs. They play so hard. That's one thing about Minnesota is they work hard, they finish every check, they're hard to play against. So this is not going to be a smooth ride for Vegas in the first round, I think. No,
not at all. And one big thing that the coach was mentioning was that Ryan Hartman, who's he's a shit stir, and he's like I'm very impressed that he is able to keep himself in check right now. He's he's doing some little things, but then that shot where I forget who it was hit him up high, and he just got up and skated away. That's what we need him to do.
I love that you mentioned that because I think that's a big part of playoff hockey that people don't talk about. That is keeping your emotions in check.
Yeah.
And part of playing through things is having to take a punch. Or having to take a cheap shot and not retaliate. Where maybe in the regular season you go after the guy or whatever, but in the playoffs, things are magnified. Where maybe you take a hard punch from a guy, you go down. Maybe there's not a penalty in that instance, but maybe there will be down the road where it will pay dividends for you, basically taking cheap shots.
Because usually the retaliation is what gets the penalty.
Absolutely.
Always,
right?
Always.
Yes, you can't.
Yeah, you just have to skate away. I
do
want to ask you about that pass.
Kaprizov, I think, is top 5 as far as skill and offensive in the league. I mean, he's going to secure the bag.
And I think he learned a little bit about playoff hockey because I was worried it was going to flip for him because there's a big scrum at the end of the game or towards the end of the game, and Haig straight drilled him in the face. Yeah. And Kaprizov could not stop complaining. He complained to the refs. The refs didn't give a shit. And then he was like, I'm going to go complain to Haig. And you just see Haig perfectly just go, drop him. And he's like, oh, no, I'm complaining you punched me. I don't want to get punched again.
That's true.
And then he went back to the refs to complain. And they're like, oh, he's just trying to find anybody that'll listen right now. I'm like, buddy, welcome. This is it. You got punched and you got to move along. It's going to happen.
I think this series is, it's going to go longer than everyone expected. And now they're going back to Minnesota with home ice now.
Split series.
So, Vegas I still think is a superior team on paper, and the way if they get going, I think they should be able to win this series, but we'll see. It's up for grabs.
Absolutely. All right, we just had a great time in Dallas. Colorado. Colorado came out hot, took that first game, got people a little nervous. I think they're the only road team to win game one. Until they finally let Battle of Florida happen. First game, Colorado looked great, and you almost felt like, oh, they have another gear they could turn into. But then Dallas fucking shifted through like 3 gears and looked unreal. Super tight game. Great game.
Yeah, Dallas. I mean, Dallas is a titan too. I mean, they're a cup contender for a reason. They've had long playoff runs every year, so you knew they weren't going to roll over after Colorado beat them. But I mean, I still think though Colorado, man, the pace they play with, how fast they are, it's going to be tough for Dallas. But you got to give Dallas credit, and I love the story of Colin Blackwell. Getting that OT goal, like doesn't play the game before, comes in and then gets the OT winner. It was awesome. I was happy for him.
And the interview of him describing it, because he kind of, I don't know if he chipped it in or the puck kind of came loose or whatever it was, and he's like, oh, the puck was just sitting there, no one was going to it.
No, it was a great play by him. He cuts to the middle of the ice and then gets a shot on net. And both the Colorado Avalanche players, was Eric Johnson and I can't remember who else it was, but they kind of drift.
Yep.
And then he kind of just circles back and the puck's sitting right in front of the net, and the rest is history.
Just buried it.
Yeah.
What a shot. I mean, it's like, it's typical playoff unsung hero.
Yeah.
Like, of course, that's what it comes down to. A series I'm personally excited about because it's one of my picks. Winnipeg has just kind of dominated St. Louis. St. Louis is not.
I wouldn't say dominating though. It's come down to just a couple lapses, don't you think, for St. Louis?
That's what the playoff. That's all it is in the playoffs.
You're right.
Flash, you're down 2-0. So now you're like, can we come back and beat Winnipeg this many times in a row? Like,
I want to hear you. I mean, this was your pick, the peg, right?
If you're not letting in that many goals, and you're scoring goals, you're going to win games.
Boom.
You know what I mean?
There it is.
That was it.
I mean, I'm rooting for St. Louis because I like the storyline.
Yeah, I mean, they're good defensively. You're right.
Yeah, they're not giving up a lot. They are making Bennington super uncomfortable. And it's like one of those things of like, he's been getting run so much, and it's like, is this coming down to that like boy who cried wolf? Like, is he so loud all the time that now the refs are like, it's the playoffs, bud. Guys are going to make you uncomfortable. Like, there you go.
Yeah, I think St. Louis wins at least one game at home. Was my little bit prediction.
Okay.
But I think this series has been closer than it looks because every game has been a 1-goal game.
Yep.
And I think it's come down to a few lapses defensively for St. Louis, but they're right there. They're right there with them with Winnipeg. It's just Winnipeg is. Yeah, you're right. I mean, like with Hellebuck and how good they are defensively, like you really have to earn what you get when you play against Winnipeg.
Big time.
And I know we've talked about playing playoff hockey early and coming into the playoffs playing playoff hockey, but at some point, can that be a detriment to you when you come in if you've been playing playoff hockey?
Maybe they emptied the tank a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
it's possible.
Well, only time will tell. A similarly dominant series that's going on, Toronto-Ottawa. Battle of Ontario. This is you really thought this was the way.
This is the way.
I love referencing him because he's one of my favorite people in hockey. Pete Blackburn said, maybe Toronto's just finding a new way to disappoint everyone, which is an interesting take on it.
Listen.
By winning?
Listen.
Well, that they're setting up fans
to
be like, let's get your hopes really up.
Listen. I had Larmers look this up for me before the pod.
Are we able to do that? I didn't know we could give him tasks.
It has been
insider information, Nate.
It has been 23 years since the Leafs have had a 2-0 series in a lead.
See, I think this is what Pete was talking about. Yeah. This is new.
Right?
Man, that is.
If you guys have you watched any of the Toronto-Ottawa games?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
There is a difference in the Leafs and the way they're playing playoff hockey. Like they look like a playoff, like seasoned veteran team that know how to win playoff games.
Well, look who's
and I don't even think they've been at their best these last 2 games, but they're finding ways to win, and they're having certain, like the big boys showed up in game 1. And then you have Max Domi get the game winner last night, but I think everyone was all over Scott Laughton about his regular season and I can't believe you traded first-round picks for this guy, whatever. The Toronto Maple Leafs didn't get this guy for the regular season.
Nope.
They got him for the playoffs.
Playoff performer.
And you're seeing the last 2 games how good he's been too.
Yeah, I mean, he has a couple points already.
Yeah, he's been unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. The play he made to OEL in the first game, like he's been one of those guys that I think that's why they got him. But like the Leafs, and we have to mention Stolarz. Like, man, he's been great.
Just been insane. And it's like, I don't know if that's a matter of the team that's playing in front of him, like really shows like what he's good at, but he's just looked insane. Yeah. And he's got a little chip on his shoulder. Yeah. He's freaking.
Yeah, who was he beating the heck out of?
Ridley Gregg.
Ridley Gregg. There's a big hate going on there with
he
Ridley
was just
Gregg.
Smashing him from behind.
Yeah.
Ridley Gregg basically got 2 minutes for getting beat up. In that instance.
And he's just like, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
I always loved Stolarz when he was in Anaheim.
He's a really good goalie, man. He's turned into a really good goalie.
Great goalie. He's huge. He's real good at Call of Duty.
Is he?
Mm-hmm. Real good. Got to rip a couple games with him when he was on the Ducks with Max, and real goalie about playing Call of Duty. Calm, collected, and just kind of like cruise through the plan.
He knows what he's doing.
He had a plan. He had, whatever, where Max was a little bit of a...
So you're saying it's good to have this guy in net for the Leafs right now?
Yeah.
Just from his based on his Call of Duty
solely based
play.
on how he was at Call of Duty. Very level-headed. Never too high, never too low. Just I think based on that, yeah, he's the guy to lead the club through.
Past years, the Leafs would have found ways to lose those games.
True.
These last 2 games, they're finding ways to win. It's just a different feel around the Leafs right now. I know we're only 2 games in.
Yeah, that's
I know we're only 2 games in.
That's okay.
But I'm optimistic.
We can only speak to the current. You know what I mean?
Yep.
We can't theorize what's going to happen in the future.
I mean, the second game went to overtime. So
you're right.
And so you're saying in years past that they go to overtime, they lose that game.
100%.
They maybe would have been a little nervous, gripping their sticks a little tight.
Yeah.
And instead, unsung hero, Max Domi comes in and is like, I got this, guys.
Yep.
And
there's a quiet confidence with their core 4. Those guys, like, they're playing well. They're not worried. They don't seem panicked. Everybody's just like, okay, we're moving along. We're a different Leafs team this year.
How is the vibe in Ottawa? Like when the series shifts back there, is it like, I feel like we don't hear a lot about the Ottawa crowd. Like, is it going to be hostile or is it going to be just rich Leafs fans that bought tickets?
It'll be hostile. I mean, think about it. The Sens haven't had playoff hockey in a long time.
For sure.
It's been a while. And I think, you can be, if I'm on the Sens side, I'm like, okay, I'm optimistic too because we went in overtime and it could have gone either way. And now we're going back home and obviously Game 3 is a must win. So, the Leafs still have a challenge ahead of them because the Sens they're a hard-working team and they have some talent. So I think that, I mean, it's still going to be a series, but I still think the Leafs are going to come out.
I think a big shift too is people who were in attendance said they're like, we don't know what happened if like corporate partners got rid of tickets or something, whatever. They're like, it was the loudest Leaf games have been.
Yeah,
where there was true fans in the seats. It wasn't just people that are like, yeah, I got some Leafs tickets from work. This is cool. We'll go see what a playoff game's all about. Like they're like, it was hockey psychos, top to bottom. Like, and they're like, I don't know if that was the org. Like,
that's awesome. Got
some tickets in the right hands. It was like, we need real people in this building.
Yeah, it's great.
Not this stuff. So, all right. Well, we'll see if Nate continues on here. The Battle of Florida. What a great time already. Already.
And we waited for a while, didn't we?
We waited for a long time. I don't know. I think they had like an Usher concert in Tampa or something. They couldn't let him get going. They wanted to hold him back for a little bit. Matthew just looked like he's potentially been healthy for a little bit.
I was actually saying the same thing to someone yesterday. I said, I bet you Matthew Tkachuk has been healthy for at least a couple weeks.
Yeah, he definitely did not look like. He definitely didn't look like. All right, shoulder's still.
He didn't miss a beat. Like that goal he had in front of the net on Vasilevsky. I mean, he made Vasilevsky actually look pretty silly.
Yeah, just classic.
He looked good. Their whole team looked good. I mean, it was like basically a well-oiled machine that was picked up right where they left off in playoffs last year.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, they really. I mean, and everyone's picking Tampa to win the series. I did, and Florida just shoved it right over everyone's ass yesterday.
Yeah, taking one on the road that's a pretty big statement game.
Our boy Cooley got an assist.
Oh, a nice assist too. They're like a real purposeful looking there's sometimes you're like, that was going 4 feet wide. You didn't mean to.
Yeah.
You didn't mean to do that.
Yeah.
This was a very nice. Who actually scored the goal? Reinhardt, maybe I think it was Reinhardt. Just an unreal tip. Cooley knows. He looks for his guy's sticks.
Yeah.
Saw a little puck size opening down there and fired it on in. I mean, yeah, look at that.
And they still don't have Ekblad back yet.
Is he still?
He's still out.
Still serving the suspension.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably going to be in the top 4 for sure.
Yeah.
He'll be playing with
Will he play with Kulikov?
or Forsling.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Interesting.
most likely.
Oh man.
I mean, he's a guy that eats up a lot of minutes for them.
Washington, Montreal. I think Montreal maybe might been one of the most disrespected teams coming in by the general populace, and they looked good. They looked real good. It took a historic moment for them to lose the game. Ovi's first overtime playoff goal makes no fucking sense. How's that never happened before?
Isn't that crazy?
And he celebrated like it was first. He knew. He's like, I've never done this.
He celebrated like he broke Wayne's record.
100%.
Yeah, it was awesome.
He's like, 897. Boom. All right, dude. We get it. Yeah, that was a great game. Montreal looked good, and I think that's one that Montreal could easily steal a couple in Washington.
Montreal, it was a case of a little bit of in awe of the first time ever playing playoff hockey, and you heard Marty St. Louis talk about it after. You can't write a story on your first playoff games, right? Because you have to feel it. You have to get out there. You have to feel the pace, the physicality, all those things. And I think a lot of those young players playing their first playoff games, or some guys in a long time, it was like kind of like whoa, and then they settled in, and then you could see in the second and third period, and then they're playing good playoff hockey. But this series is going to be I think this is going to go deeper than people think. I mean, I think Montreal, they showed last game that they're not going to roll over against Washington. I mean, do I think Washington's probably the better team? Probably, because of the physicality. You saw how they played against them in the first part of the game. It was they were all over them.
Washington's just a grown man's team.
Exactly.
And Tom Wilson said something about he was like, my favorite thing about playoff hockey is he's like, we're all done keeping track of things. Where throughout the year, it's like our stats and this and that. And, well, if we go to overtime, we get 1 point, we get that. And he's like, playoff hockey, you just go fucking win.
That's it.
That's
it's
it.
Simple.
That's all you have to think about. He's like, I love it.
And it doesn't matter. I mean, yeah, you might win a game in the playoffs and you might not have played well, but it's like you forget about it. Doesn't matter.
Sure.
You move on to the next game. You bank the win. That's all that matters.
That's it. The one that definitely looks like the most lopsided, and it's fair, there's reasons. Carolina looks like this is just, they're walking through here.
Yeah, and I think Carolina, out of all the teams in the NHL, as far as set up for success in the first round of the playoffs, I think they got the best bracket or team to play against.
For sure.
Because the Devils are they're outmanned right now.
They're just
so many
injured.
Injuries, so many guys out. It's going to be hard for them.
There's not a lot you can do when you have injuries. It's like, your star player was out before the playoffs even started.
Yeah.
And then you have 2 guys go down right away, and you're just like, how are we supposed to do this?
Yeah, then they lose Brendan Dillon and Luke Hughes after the first game. I mean, it's an uphill battle for them. And it looks also too like when you watch the games, it's basically Jersey trying to keep up with Carolina. Carolina is just, I think they've just been too much for them.
And then even when they do the big difference maker, when they do finally catch up and get into a good spot, Freddie Anderson's playing out of his mind.
He's been playing really good, and that's been a question mark for Carolina
for sure. And they got a power play and they're buzzing on the power play, and Freddie was just making some miraculous saves. It's like, oh, this is going to be a tough one for them to dig out of here, but we'll see what the boys can do. Maybe they can steal one at home.
I think this one's going to be done in 4 games.
Dang,
that's my take.
That's brutal.
I know that is brutal. Sorry for the Devils fans, but that's what I think.
It's okay. I'll put your address and send you a letter. No, I'm sure they feel the same. It's a tough go. You can't do anything about injuries.
No.
It is what it is. And who knows? Maybe the Devils will get Quinn Hughes next year.
How about that?
I mean, that's kind of what Rutherford said. Either they're coming here, he's going there. And on 32 Thoughts, he said, I forget which guy said, but he was like, I don't think the brothers have any interest in moving to Vancouver. He's like, that's all I'm going to say.
It's interesting you said that because I heard Elliot Friedman talk about it in an interview, and he said he thought it was almost like an encrypted message from Rutherford warning the organization that we only have so much time to keep Quinn Hughes.
Oh.
And we need to make this happen.
Oh, maybe it was
like
little
pressure that we need to keep him happy and make sure that we can either bring those guys or we're keeping him here no matter what.
Yeah, I wonder if it was like a little truth balloon of like, oh yeah, that'd be crazy if we had to trade him to the Devils. He just sits back and he's like, how mad is everyone?
Exactly. He was stirring it up. That's what it seemed like.
Yeah, just see what the reaction is. Get a little test. I liked it.
I liked it too. I mean, he's always very transparent in all his interviews. So
yeah.
It was must watch.
I mean, how he finished, and then I don't know who the gentleman was sitting to his right, but he just starts laughing. Yeah. I'm like, you're in a serious end of season press conference, and another executive just literally starts laughing out loud.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it was a nervous laugh because he was like, oh, we may be tampering.
Well, not only that, but they have to worry about figuring out if they're going to keep Rick Tocchet too.
Yeah, he has an option for his contract?
Option for his contract. I'm not sure how that works, but I think in the next week or so, maybe less than that, they're figuring out if he's going to be sticking around or not. But another thing Elliot Friedman said, he talked about like with coaches being hired in the league, like that's a big dominoes how things will work out, I guess, if Vancouver ends up keeping him.
Oh,
because if they don't, I mean, there's so many jobs opening up now.
A lot of openings.
And for me, like if a Tocchet doesn't end up going back to Vancouver, like doesn't Philly seem like the obvious?
I want to know what your guys' favorite moments are so far. We've had a lot of great moments. There's got to be one thing that's stuck out. Personally for me, as I've mentioned with my pick, Colorado Avalanche, Josh Manson has been all over the ice. Guy looks like a man possessed, insane. He had an assist. You got to give it up to the assisting D-men also. He had an assist on a goal to Devon Taves driving the net, and Manson just perfectly puts it on his tape. And they do the breakdown of it, and they're kind of like, oh, wow, like Manson gets in the zone and he pulls up. He doesn't go to the net. So I'm like, I need some inside info. So I text Manson, and he's like, look at how many tip-in goals Devon Taves. He's like, there's no way anybody keeps track of it, but he has to lead defenseman in it. And he's like, he told me early on, hey, it might be weird, but look for me, I'm driving the net. And he was like, oh shit, okay. He's like, they don't expect it. So Manson saw him and just perfect vision, dialed it in, and I like literally yelped. I was like, what? I'm like, when I saw who it was, I was like, that was a crazy goal. I'm like, this is why Colorado's dangerous. So far that's...
And I love that insider information. I love that it's like, I love that they had a conversation about it. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm going to the net. And then it happened. You know what I mean? It's like, that is... As
standard people, Nate probably laughs at us, but as standard people to think that they actually get together and are like, hey, check it out. I have an idea. And then it fucking works.
Yeah.
That sounds crazy to me. Because hockey seems, for us, it seems so like when we go play hockey, it does not look like, Brian, go to the net. They're not going to be expecting you to drive, and I'm going to tap you in the back. Like, nothing's really planned.
Yeah.
Nate's like, hey, fucking idiots.
I mean, it's just, they're so professional, right? They're so professional, and they're so good at their I mean, obviously, top 700 players or whatever in the world and whatever. But it's like, the fact that they have that kind of dialogue where that's kind of that little out of position for him, right? Because he's a D-man.
For sure. Should definitely not be driving the net.
Yeah, and so he's just like, hey, look for me.
But I also think that's when he knows he's paired with him. That's why Manson enters the zone and then pulls up. Like, he's carrying the puck and he could drop, but he's like, I know my boy. We can't. Like, there's been times where I've talked to like Josh in the past where he had defensive partners, and he's like, I'll take the puck, and I look over and I see my defensive partner. We're both like trying to rip a little backdoor one-timer, and I'm like, oh, this isn't good. We're both right here. He's like, if we don't score, we're going the other way, chasing the play. Like, this is not where we want to be.
That's the beauty of Colorado, though. I love watching them play because it's like all five of them on the ice, they're not really in a position. They're just all moving. They're everywhere,
which
is why they're so good.
Yeah, they've kind of broken that standard of like, oh, D-men, like, stay here. They're like, no. Yeah,
What's your favorite draft moment?
I have a 3-part favorite moment. Well, my favorite moment is the Kings' 6th goal.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it was insane. Everything about that game was insane, as we talked about. Mm-hmm. But during the second intermission, they were winning 4-2. And it felt like the Kings were dominating. I looked at Hammer, you can jinx games.
Yeah.
As because our words are so powerful.
Very powerful.
I told Hammer, I'm like, hey, at least we don't have to worry about overtime. Because like Kings are winning. I was like, and then we go in, and then again, I looked at him when it's 5-5, and I'm like, well, I jinxed it, and I'm all. It looks like we're going to overtime because there's like a minute and a half left, and then I go, ugh. They have it's a full intermission.
Let me preface this by
Famous
this
last
week.
words
This week
always.
is state testing at Brian's kid's school, and the teacher Brian's getting ready to go to the game, and the teacher sends out an email. Hey, state testing, very important for our school and the kids. Make sure we have a nutritious meal. We get to bed early. We're doing this while Brian's about to take his kid to LA for a game.
He doesn't have time for fucking overtime.
I mean, I think when I say this, it is already 2 hours past his bedtime, and he's still. I mean, he is nowhere near going to sleep.
No.
So I look at Hammer and I go, ugh. Full overtime. Like,
Yeah, Brian's doing the math. He's like, oh, they do a full intermission
Yeah.
and then full. He's like, oh,
we're gonna be here for a while, and then so we sit back, in our seats, or whatever, and as game goes, and then like 30 seconds later, and then he scores. So everyone's losing their mind, and Maddox looks at me, and goes, "You jinxed it!" And I'm just
full
like,
blame. Full
was mad at
blame.
me.
It's your fault, Dad.
Full on mad at me.
And I'm like, wait. I'm like, hold on. So he hooked you up, and he hit the first jinx, and that got you tied. But then he was able. I'm like, your dad's powerful, bro.
Yeah.
He's got powerful words.
Pretty good. It's really good, actually.
I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna try to use it for the Ducks.
That's a good playoff moment.
Yeah.
The Ducks would appreciate if you jinx them a little bit.
Unjinx them.
Yeah,
Double jinx them.
Double it up.
Well, speaking of father-son connections, I'm going to go with Max Domi scoring the OT goal for the Leafs.
What a moment.
And I say father-son connections because, as we all know, or some of us that don't know, Ty Domi played for the Leafs for a long time. He's in attendance at the game.
Yep.
I played with Max Domi in Montreal, got to know Max and Ty really well.
Yeah.
Great people. Max is actually one of my favorite teammates I've ever played with.
Oh,
Just
wow.
great kid. And it was like awesome to see him score that OT goal, him being from Toronto.
Yep.
Growing up in the Leafs locker room and then watching his dad, like.
Yep.
And Ty never usually makes any kind of facial expressions during the game.
Yeah.
But after that game, he was like smiling and he was happy. Like you could see how. I mean, I can't even imagine being a dad and your son playing for the team you played for, and then your son scores a playoff OT goal. Like that's crazy.
And that's like one of the only things that Ty never did. He never never had an overtime playoff goal. So like.
He gets to share that with Max, and it was even cool too. The media asked Travis Green after the game, the head coach of the Senators, and they asked him about Max because Travis Green remembered Max in the locker room as a kid because Travis Green played with Ty for the Leafs.
Gosh!
But it was a pretty cool story, seeing Max score the goal in Toronto, the connection with his dad, Travis Green, all of it. It was pretty special. So I was happy for him.
That's awesome. That's a great moment. Well, I would love to watch more playoff hockey with Brian, but he has more important hockey to get to tonight. He'll be leaving us. He will not be joining us for the game. He has some big road games going on, taking the team out on the road.
Heading to Chicago tomorrow. Maddox and I, it's his Chicago tournament he does every year. He did finally ask me. He never put 2 and 2 together, but he did finally ask me. He's like, man, if the Blackhawks were in the playoffs, we could maybe catch a playoff game.
And you're like,
and I go, you're
yeah,
right.
buddy.
The last couple of years, they have not made the playoffs, so there was not any Blackhawks games.
You could go to a Chicago Wolves game.
They're not playing until Sunday. We already looked at it.
Oh, man. That's tough.
Playoff hockey in the hotel room.
Theo Vaughn, though. Theo Vaughn is playing Friday night. He's in town, so.
Time for Maddox to grow up.
Or he maybe goes with another parent.
Yeah.
And dad goes out to a little coffee
There you
shop.
go. There you
So
go.
we'll see. I don't know if I can make it happen.
I think
but-
you should do that.
So
I highly recommend that.
Yeah,
I mean, anytime it aligns up that
Yeah, you should do that.
there's a gig that maybe I can go to while I'm in town. So
You
we'll
should
see.
definitely do that.
That's nice.
And you and I are,
Nice little hockey date.
yeah, we're gonna drive in the car together.
Ooh, carpool.
Carpool.
carpooling.
We're carpooling.
He said he's only one way in me though.
Okay.
One way. My wife's responsible for the way home.
Yes, she
Think
is.
she'll bring you home?
I hope so. She gave me a heads up. She's like, takes me a minute to get out on a playoff game.
I'm
so-
basically we're gonna go to the game. We're gonna sit together. We're gonna watch the game together. And then after, I'm gonna go,
Yeah.
Carl.
Yeah.
He's yours.
But
He's yours now.
Exactly.
I also could see you maybe go get a bite across the street, and then all of a sudden Carl's on the freeway. Fuck, I left Hammer.
Yeah, she needs the baby notification in the back seat. Like, oh, you gotta grab your kid, dude.
In that case,
I was watching highlights on the NHL channel.
sleep over at my house.
Spend the night at Nate's house.
Yeah, because I ain't driving you back.
Wouldn't be the first time. It'd be totally fine. I'd be
Yeah,
like,
be
well,
fine.
babe, now you have to pick me up a lot farther. Way to go.
We really went off on a tangent there, but
That's okay.
That's okay.
That's what we do.
That's what we do. It's Scrum culture.
All right. Well, we'll have a good time. Brian, have fun in Chicago.
Have fun in Chi-Town.
All right. We'll get together in a few days and we'll see how our picks are going. All right. Fair.